Yeah. Before you call me names and blame me for not supporting other people's work, please hear me out. I'm here not to hear your blaming. I need your advice. Because what just happened is freaking weird. And I really have a bad feeling about this. So yeah, I've installed the jailbreak system on my Nintendo Switch. Why? Well, I remember buying it when Zelda came out and it was massive. I spent hundreds of hours on the game, discovering every secret, getting every item. And Mario was pretty awesome too, and some others I won't lie. But then, the big guys got greedy and started to flood the markets with half-assed crap for the price that could really bite. I mean, come on, who buys a game for $60 just to discover it's trash, and there is no way to refund it? I've had enough when they started to throw the exclusive titles on PC and made them even cheaper there. Honestly, when Octopath hit stream, I said no more and packed the thing back in the box. I even tried to sell it online, but nobody would pay a decent price for it, even with the extra games and accessories. Yes, I've lowered a price down to the point when it stopped having sense. But even then, only some choosing beggars tried to scam my deal asking to sell it for half of that. As a result, my console collected dust all this time up to last week, when I've thought to take it out and play some newer games I had no intention to pay for. I saw a couple of videos on YouTube and some threads here on Reddit. So, what the heck? Why not? Actually, it's harder than it seems. There is at least a dozen of different firmwares, and you can easily break the device if you have no idea of what you're doing. And I clearly had not. So after watching all those simple and elegant tutorials, I have discovered that there is more to that. As I followed some steps on the procedure, there were differences here and there, so I reverted the whole thing, before I kill my Switch with my own two hands. But then, as I've been browsing for fresher guides, or maybe better explanations from people who made it, I found the one that was actually pretty easy to install. All I had to do was A. Download the software and launch it, B. Connect my console to PC, and C. Hit install, sit back and relax. I posted on one of the enthusiast forum by a guy holding a nickname of PhoneTom33. I remembered it just because it was a cheesy pun. When the whole process took me like 30 minutes to do, and Viola, I booted with a pretty cool black and blue theme with some cool looking phoenix-like bird on a wallpaper with small 0.2.1 version number at the corner. As a late realization came in, the thought that I've wiped all I had on the device, game save screenshots, and I had no idea I could revert the thing, but to hell with it. Not that I would miss those scrappy buys from eStore. That evening I've downloaded and installed a couple of titles and gave them a try. It was a success, even though 2 of the 3 didn't launch at all. I blamed bad ROMs, and a couple more glitched from time to time. Same reason I guess, but the rest were smooth and silky. I had my fun. Next morning, I've decided to do a couple of missions in Astral Chain before my work call started. So I grabbed the controller and turned the TV on. The message popped up saying that the firmware was updated to version 0.2.2. I froze for a minute thinking, as I didn't recall enabling Wi-Fi after the install. But probably I did, I couldn't remember. Quick check of the settings showed that I actually did. My network and password were there. Yeah, I guess that's what you get when you play video games instead of a good 8 hours sleep. But what really got my attention was the game that wasn't there before. At the end of the list, there was a new thumbnail showing a yellow dog with long ears and looks sorta like Beagle or whatever grimacing, and there was a colorful text at the bottom pronouncing the name of the game, Crapper Popper. I believe Nintendo's parental advisory committee, or whatever they are calling that unit, would have a heart attack if they would have seen it, especially after what I saw when I launched it. It was an absolutely stupid scroll shooter, where you control a flying yellow dog who, we assume, hold a name of a popper, and flies with his ass forward. All you have to do is to avoid obstacles and kill enemies such as bees, butterflies, and evil cats in vintage planes by shooting them from that's right, the crapper. Sending piles of shit flying through the screen. It was poorly made, felt like someone's Unity project rather than a formal game. There was no studio, logos, or credit, and I would totally ignore and forget about it if not one detail that seemed strange to me. Each time you'd lose a life, the screen faded to black, showing just a number of lives and a short message, just like your general tips and tricks. On the loading screen, except the messages made absolutely no sense. One of them read, "Was it necessary?" Another was, "Don't you dare speak to her like that." And there was more like 11/24, "Gorgeous Fatnum," and just Paul. But it was 9 o'clock already, meaning I had to be present on daily video meeting, so I put the thing aside. Later on, being curious, I googled the name of the game, and believe it or not, nothing's there. Yeah, I know what homebrews are. So I didn't think of it as something strange or weird, just a lame game from somebody whose humor I was not getting. I've deleted the thing and forgot about it up to the next day. Thursday morning came with another addition, firmware version updated to 0.3.0. This time with a changelog, bugs fixed, here, additional teams there, and surprise surprise another game. At the point I've decided that was like the something special developer tried to pull to make people talk about it. This time there was a picture of a cartoon hamster, or was it a weasel? It's hard to tell because of the comic style of the artist. And the title read 101 Wit, which I later figured out to be 101 Ways to End It All. As the title screen showed up, oh man, if the first game was pretty strange, this one was absolutely fricked up. It was like a party game, like Jack in a Box type of thing, or I don't know, Mario Party. Point is, you compete against your friends, passing the controllers in different approaches to end your life. Yes, you read that right. It was a suicide party game, no matter how stupid it sounds. The graphics were not really detailed, but it definitely seemed like the thing had a budget. And I was really impressed by what they, whoever those they could be, did to controls. They squeezed everything they could out of Joy-Cons. I don't want to go into much of the detail, but there were a couple of levels. Like the one where you had to jump in front of a train. Player is supposed to hold Joy-Con in each hand and make a swing at the last possible moment when the train comes. The faster the swing, the harder the impact, the more points you get. Or there was that one where you had a whole one pressed to your forehead and the other one represented the gun. And you had to pull a trigger and make a motion with your head at the same time. I tend to think of myself as a cynical person. I like dark jokes, and cyanide happiness, stuff, and horror comedies, but seriously, this thing was pretty freaked up even to my taste, so I deleted it too, and before you could ask, Yes, I googled it as well. Same result. So I decided to get back to that page where I got the free mirror in the first place and checked out what other people think about this extra edition. There were a couple of updates messages from Phone Tom 33 and a couple of comments with issues and praises, but nobody mentioned the homebrew games. Oh, okay, then probably nobody really found them that amusing or simply delete them without launching it. Was my thought at the time. I've played some more normal ones that evening and made sure to delete the 101 with. Friday crawled in. It was a busy day. Friday crawled in. It was busy all day. I had to make calls, fill in stuff, and it really didn't matter at this point. Later that evening, I cracked open a cold one and grabbed a controller. I bet you've guessed what was there. A new update and a new game. This time the changelog mentioned only that the issue with Xenoblade Chronicles DLCs were fixed. And the game name were Banker Simulator. The thumbnail contained a title and style photo of a hand of a person wearing a business suit with a $sign cufflink on a shirt, holding a briefcase with a dollar bill sticking out of it. Well, I thought at least this time it looked normal. So I've decided to give it a try. I'm not a big fan of financial strategies or anything goes here simulators, but I was curious at the time. At the start of the game, I saw the thighs of a man dressed in grey business suit. He was sitting on a brown leather couch. It was a first-person view as if he was looking down. A smooth jazz played in the background. I jiggled the controller a couple of times, but nothing happened. That was just stupid. What was the point? Then a tooltip popped up. Please take Joy-Con in each of your hands. Okay, I did. And then it got to me. I had to manipulate each hand individually. So I did. The left palm of the banker dude had a smoldering cigar and the right one a glass of brown liquid. I assumed that meant to be whiskey or something. And all I could do in this game was either smoke the cigar or sip from the glass. I tried to make him stand up or reach to a pocket. Just do anything so that the game could start or whatever. But it was just smoking and sipping. If I'd smoked the cigar or dropped it beyond my vision as well as drinking up whiskey or pouring it onto the floor, the legs of a waitress appeared at the edge of my vision, meaning I could see only her ankles and high heels, and the voice actress asks, "More whiskey or another cigar?" My character replied with, and either item reappeared in one of the hands. That was so dumb. No more hints or instructions. At some point, I thought the whole thing glitched, so I restarted it a couple of times with no result. I was pissed at the game for being moronic, at myself for not being able to understand how it works, at the guy who patched it into update. So at some point, I just overturned the glass onto my character and ditched the lit cigar, just onto those fancy Paradas pants, or whatever they were wearing. The scream started as the cloth must have catch fire, and the waitress leg again, more whiskey. The screen faded to black with screams continuing to sound from the TV speaker, and some lines of white text began to print. It burns, it burns, it burns, it burns. You get the point. I'm not a drama queen, but something there got me. I deleted the game, made sure I blocked the internet connection in settings, and went online to drop a message to the developer. There were no PMs on that site, so I left a comment in the thread Hey Phone Tom 33, thanks for your work and such, but could you please stop adding those stupid games to each update patch? They are plain idiotic, thanks. It took him 20 minutes to answer. What games? Can you believe it? What a moron, trying to be mysterious and all. The ones about the shitting dog and that suicide thing at this piece of shit called Banker Simulator. Those games. 20 minutes later, some random user replied, Dude, are you high or something? There are no games. And somebody named 1RW1N followed. Yeah, there's no spoon, Neo, lol. Get some sleep, noob. Yeah, what a bunch of jerks, making fun of a man just because he's a newbie in their playgrounds. To hell with it, I deleted the whole thing tomorrow. That was what I thought as I went to bed. Yeah, Saturday came and I grabbed controller automatically. I was bored and slept the whole incident away. Yet Saturday came and I grabbed the controller automatically. I was bored and slept the whole incident over. And it was my mistake as it just then when the shit hit the fan. I booted the console and was just about to launch some Dragon Builders to sink some time, but I've noticed there was yet another game. I have no memory of it, except this time there was no thumbnail, just a blank white square with plain black text of a title on it. I checked the settings. Wi-Fi was as I left it, off and gone. I thought that probably downloaded in background as I was playing yesterday, or specifically speaking particularly downloaded as the thumbnail seemed broken. I decided to check it out. I decided to check out if it would launch and let that be a fat dot between me and my experience with these updates. The title read, Mighty Mark and the Quest for Bone Marrow. Who the heck comes up with this stuff? The loading screen consisted of a black background and the main character running at the bottom right corner of the screen. He was a cartoonish dude wearing purple suit, sunglasses and a Viking helmet plus a baseball bat strapped to his back. Well, the game loaded. I must say that this time it didn't look so bad. It was a nice starting screen, simple yet stylish 2D graphics and cool music. Except that title that made no sense. Kinda look friendly without noticing it. And to my surprise, it was quite a fun game. It was an action platformer where you controlled Mark in his adventure over the Broken Kingdom. The levels were varied. There were a bunch of mini games you could collect and buy upgrades. Whoa, that looked fun. I actually spent a couple of hours and made it into the World Tree. I even started to like the voiceovers. The guy who voiced Mark spatted out jokes and puns, mocking the enemies. At some point I felt a cave to grab some food from the fridge, but to my surprise, as I hit start, nothing happened. Mark just shouted, "No time to rest," and I was forced to end the level without pause. That was strange, but you know, maybe that's the dev and their sense of immersion. After a quick bite, I grab the controller again. I must have lost track of time, as I was deep in the gameplay. I haven't played such a good platformer in a long time, but as the clock was close to midnight and I was in World 6, it was a good idea to call it a night. So I've pressed pause to return to the main menu. I wanted to press pause but nothing happened. My thumb didn't move. It felt like I caught cramps in my right palm. So I've decided to put the controller aside and warm it up a bit. Nothing. I couldn't take my hand off the controller. I panicked. What if I block some blood vessel or move clumsy and now my hand is paralyzed? and I need some medical attention. Yeah, not the brightest thought, but you weren't there, and I'm not a doctor. So, I winded myself up. I just began to wiggle my body furiously from side to side, trying to get rid of the device in my hands. At some point I succeeded, and the thing slipped and fell onto the carpet beneath my feet. What happened next? I have no explanation for this. I immediately felt all the blood of my body leaning towards my temple, banging with pressure into my ears. Instantly it became impossible to draw another breath, and I felt my lungs burning. Dark spots and red circles started to dance before my eyes, and I heard a voice. Mighty Mark started to chant in his badass manner. Pick it up, pick it up. I was dying on my couch, straight out of nowhere, just like that. And yes, the thing I did was irrational. I folded in half and picked up the controller from the floor. The very same moment I heard my body letting the air back in, with the heart pounding like as if I was the speaker on a rave party. I stared at the screen completely horrified. What the hell just happened? Did I have a stroke? Next thing I've heard was, "Alright, let's do this," from the speakers, and the game continued. I know how it would have ended if not the less than 4 minutes later the clock beeped midnight. The game auto-paused, but the character didn't. He stood there in his idle pose, leaning from left to right, with the bat in his hands, and I heard as follow. "Alright, Mighty Mark says night-night. Let's continue our adventure tomorrow and crash some skulls. See ya, fella. And you better be there. Peace." And then the switch turned off. I have no freaking clue what I just experienced back there, and I was never a believer. I don't believe in God, superstitions, ghosts, and any of those tales. But I have absolutely no rational explanation to what happened yesterday. Today is Sunday. I ignored the thing whole day and decided to drop you guys a message as I don't know what to do. Do you think it's bad? Or am I just a wuss? Hold on. As I'm writing this line, I see a reflection in my monitor of the TV behind. It went on by itself. I don't want to turn and check.